Wedding tips for if your day is going to be hot, hot, hot.
Hi, we're Rebecca and Laura from Bride Society, and today we are thinking about tips for your wedding day if it's going to be, well, as Laura said, hot, hot, hot. And that could be whether you are planning your wedding in a country location where you know you're pretty much guaranteed that beautiful hot weather, or perhaps you're maybe just trying to think of contingencies and ideas for if you get like an unexpected heat wave on your beautiful wedding day. So to make it all as comfortable and relaxed and smooth running as possible, we've put together our top tips.
So, first of all, venue. So, venue will probably work, a traditional wedding venue will probably work for most weather scenarios, but you might, when you're choosing your venue, you might just want to ask the question, do you have air conditioning in case it is a very hot day so everyone can go retreat somewhere cool inside? If you're planning an outdoor wedding, you might want to think about what kind of chairs the venue are using. If they've got metal chairs, they're not going to be comfy to sit on during a very hot day. So if they have got something like that, whether they can cover them with cushions or some sort of fabric just to add that layer of protection between you and your bare skin.
Yeah, because they might have lots of like short dresses on and things.
Yeah.
And if it is outdoors, is there some kind of covering, like a tent marquee type thing that provides that shade? Also, obviously, works for other contingency weather-wise, but in terms of that heat, like then my guests going to be sitting in full sun, or can we provide shade?
The timing of the day might be a consideration, so you might want to avoid that kind of peak midday heat, so you might want to choose your ceremony to be either kind of morning or later on in the afternoon when you're less likely to get that full glare of the sun.
So, of course, one thing you can do to try and make your guests more comfortable, particularly if they're sat outside in the heat, is providing things like parasols or handheld fans, that kind of thing. And they can also be given as favours as well, so it kind of two birds with one stone. But yeah, I personally think the fan idea is probably a better way to go, just purely because with parasols, as soon as the guests put them up, so they're kind of blocking views of people behind. Or maybe it's something that you put on like every other seat, because I feel like it's something people could share, but then maybe still see around a bit better on just a sea of parasols. But yeah, I mean the handheld fans that guests can then take away and keep if you customise them. Yeah.
And if you're choosing to do like bathroom baskets for your guests, something you might want to make sure is in there is some sun cream and maybe some after sun if the sun cream hasn't been used well in advance. Just for people if they want to top up during the reception, especially if a lot of the reception maybe is outside, if you're making use of some gardens or the grounds of whatever venue you're in, it's good to reapply.
Yeah, because I feel like guests might not remember to bring it, or maybe they're not expecting to be outside the entire day, and that's what you've got planned or something. Yeah, so I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and you can maybe choose. You can get some that like spray like over makeup some screens as well, because you don't want to have to be like rubbing in the greasy, full on thick sun cream if you've just had all your makeup done.
Yeah, keeping your guests hydrated is a good idea, and not purely with alcohol, as well, that's dehydrating. So having like sort of hydration stations, that kind of thing. So providing like ice water, lemonade, soft drinks and things, just where guests can just maybe help themselves. It's easy access just throughout the day. So as I say, no one's dehydrating and then keeling over in a corner.
If you know in advance that maybe your venue doesn't have air conditioning, but you would like to put some sort of dress code in for your guests, just be mindful of what you're asking of them. So maybe don't ask them to come in full on huge ball gowns with long sleeves if you know it's going to potentially be a hot day. So just be mindful. And also, there's no harm in just mentioning to guests maybe if there isn't aircon at the venue, just so also they can plan ahead what they might want to consider wearing.
Yeah, because I think if you're expecting
Yeah.
there's going to be air conditioning at that type of venue, and there's I have regrets. Yeah. And obviously extending it to that thought to your own attire and that of your bridal party as well. If you know you're going to be in the hot sun for a long time, or just in a crowded space with a lot of bodies, that's generating a lot of heat on those days too. When you're picking out your wedding dress, I always think about my mum in this scenario who got married mid-August and had long sleeves, high neck, and really regretted it. So thinking about the context of your wedding when you're picking out your dress and not only the cut but the fabrics, and as Laura was saying, whether it's sort of a full ball gown or not. And as that of the bridesmaids is maybe that perhaps you're considering a shorter length bridesmaids dress, more floaty fabrics, so just so that the air can move, not necessarily a big corset thing where there's no breathability. And maybe with the groomsmen, again, it depends where you are, but whether it's a sort of a more linen-y type suit, have they even got a suit jacket, so you may be kind of dressing it up more just with suspenders and a bow tie kind of thing, and dropping the whole jacket thing all together. There's ideas there that you can toy around with.
For your makeup and hair, again, it's thinking about the type of products you use or your makeup artist use on you. So you want long-lasting, maybe waterproof makeup to withstand maybe a bit of the heat, which might cause a little bit of sweat. So maybe also some blotting papers in your bridal handbag, just to kind of keep that shine off your face throughout the day, the glow off your face.
The sparkle.
Yes. And for hair, again, it might be thinking of an updo rather than having your hair down, just so it's off your neck and away from your face.
I feel sometimes my hair can feel like a blanket on the back of my neck. Yeah. Moving on to thinking about things like your sort of decor and your setup, considering things like candles or other things like that generate more heat. Or the placement of those, if you're really keen on having them, maybe not too close to people or in masses where again they're creating just basically like a campfire. So just thinking carefully about those type of items that you're bringing in, and your flowers as well. Are they kind of hardy enough to withstand kind of the heat of the day? Do you want to make your centerpieces or whatever more sort of succulents, that kind of thing, that you just then don't have to worry about? Or a great tip would also be, if you're with your bouquets, the bridal bouquet, the bridesmaids bouquets, is to, when you get to your reception time, on the tables to have them set up vases with some water in it, so that you can place your bouquets into there so they can get a bit of a drink and sort of get sort of more turgid again, so that they can sort of last the rest of the day. And it also handily doubles up as then a bit of table decor. It looks sort of deliberately done, you paid for more flowers for the table, but they're just your bouquet. So it's kind of a 2-in-1 tip there.
Think about maybe some fun foods or drink that you can serve to your guests, especially kind of during that cocktail hour or drinks reception, straight after the ceremony. You could choose something like an ice cream van or ice lollies for your guests. I mean, what's more summery than that, than having an ice lolly just outside on a beautiful day, and cools you down as well.
I am definitely there for that. And think about your food more generally, and this point really does apply more to if you know beforehand you're getting married in a hot venue, and this is not a last minute it's going to be hot, quick, what can we do thing. But really considering the foods that you're serving on your menu with your caterers or however you're doing it, maybe going for sort of lighter foods and not sort of heavy rich stuff, or maybe even offering more kind of I don't say uncooked, but not hot foods. Maybe you're offering more cold based things and like salads and just fresher, lighter foods. Again, that's not going to make people feel hot when they eat it, but also not generating that heat, particularly like if you're having like a buffet style and all those candle heated, what are they called, like
the serving trays.
All there generating another wall of heat that you don't need.
If you are choosing to have a buffet as part of your wedding menu, then it's considering, and you can work with your venue or caterers with this, where it's located and how it's being served, just to ensure that it's not out in the full sun or in the heat for too long. There are already requirements for, on a kind of a normal day, how long you can have food left out for, but that time will shorten if it's kind of in the sun. And no one wants to be eating warm seafood or things like that, so you don't want food poisoning at your wedding.
That would be bad, impression to leave. And along with that is considering where you're putting your wedding cake if you're having one. You don't want it to sort of slide down itself. You know, if it's out for too long, or say the positioning if it's in full sun, that kind of thing, you know, is to be considered. Or do you maybe want to hold off it being put out? Can it be stored somewhere else and brought out closer to the time that it's going to be cut, if there is no choice but to put it somewhere that's going to be in the sun, that kind of thing. Because I appreciate it's all very well and good as saying, consider where you're putting things, but if your venue is very restrictive about this has to be here, that there's just not the space, then maybe consider not bringing something out right away and kind of making those adaptations, or even to some degree maybe what's on your cake if you want to take it that far. If you know it's going to be really hot, you know, maybe you don't want a full, like, I mean, you're the cake expert, I shouldn't even be talking right now, but sort of a full chocolate garnish cake, because I think that would melt a lot faster than a sort of fondant icing cake. I'm going to let Laura take this, because she is the winning cake business, not right.
I think you've got that covered.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, but maybe think about the type of decorations as well. If you want fresh flowers on there, ensuring that they're put in maybe posy picks that have some water in there already, so you don't just have wilted flowers on your
sad.
On your cake. So that's something you can talk to whoever's making your wedding cake for you. They'll be able to advise on the best way to really kind of heat proof your wedding cake and what to do for the best. And also they'll probably know the venue that you are getting married at, and will be able to advise maybe if there's a cool room attached to the kitchen, something like that, you might choose to put in and be, as Becky said, brought out later on. So there are some of our top tips for how to survive the heat on your wedding day, so you don't get all hot and bothered, and your guests don't get all hot and bothered either. Hopefully that's really helpful. If you've got any more tips you'd like to share, please drop those in the comments below. Give this video a like, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next week for more content like this.